We are live in Studio B. This is your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up with Jarom Jordan. Make way for the elite college basketball analyst from ESPN. He is Sean Farnham, joining us for his weekly segment. Sean, happy Valentine's Day. Great to have you with us once again.
Listen, I have to start today with being Valentine's Day. I want the world to know the love. No, go back to the three-shot. I want the three-shot. We'll go back to the three-shot.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
But
Sean Farnham, director.
I want the world to know the love that I have for Jarom. Because Cougar Board last week was all upset.
Were they?
All upset. Oh, Sean's being mean to Jarom. Like, it was mean what he did to Jarom. And I want the world to know that when our segment was done, I direct messaged Jarom right away and said, love you, brother.
Yeah.
And that this relationship between the three of us is actually a friendship. And that I actually have so much respect for you two and what you do on a nightly basis. In fact, I tuned in last night to the halftime show. Even in studio in Bristol, I said, turn those guys up. Listen, this is what an ESPN Plus broadcast should look like when you have a nice studio like that and great breakdowns instead of just random things that don't make sense. So, Cougar Board, relax. I love these two guys, or these two guys, like those two guys. I love these two guys.
You got to be the weatherman. You got to know which way you're going, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, which way? Huh? But yeah, no, I love these two guys. There's a reason why I come on here every single week, and it's a lot to do with these two. And so on Valentine's Day, I want Cougar Board to know that I got nothing but love for Jarom and Spencer.
We are feeling that love.
Just so you know, Cougar Board's not going to settle down. They never do. But thank you.
And by the way, I also don't have a fake account that posts things on Cougar Board. If I was to go on, trust me,
I'm thinking you do that you said that.
Burner account.
No, I got messages. I got people that messaged me that are part of Cougar Nation that were like, Sean, people were very upset with how mean you were to Jarom today. And I was like, oh, I was just joking.
It was a joke.
It's fun. Like,
oh, good.
Okay. But anyway, so on Valentine's Day, I want you to know nothing but love for the two of you. Okay, now we can proceed.
All good. You know what wasn't fun? Watching last night's game.
Oh, my goodness.
That stunk. We had 72 free throw attempts, 46 fouls. It got super weird. I know you were doing studio stuff on ESPN2 last night, watching Iowa State and Cincinnati and Baylor, Oklahoma after that.
Yep.
But this game got weird at the end. You guys thought it was over, and then suddenly the last 2 minutes took forever. We had a combined 29 points in the last 2 minutes.
The last 2 minutes were insane. So just a little behind the curtain, Seth Greenberg, Dallin Cuff, and I are doing College Basketball Live last night that started at 11 p.m. Eastern time, or right off that Baylor game. And we go to our segment, and again, the highlight for BYU was scheduled to be like in the B block, which is the second block right after the first commercial break. And so we go start the first segment, and we look at the screen as we go to that first commercial break, and all of us were like, what is going on? How did this happen? Like, we started our segment with you guys like up 8, and now it could be potentially a 1-point game. And was that a foul on the 3-point shot? Because we don't have audio up. And we're looking going, this is the most wild thing. Like, what just transpired in the last 2 minutes that we missed? And evidently, we missed a lot. We missed 29 points in those 2 minutes. But it was a wild game because there was a large portion of it. I think we could say that BYU played outstanding basketball. When they're up by 20, you're like sitting there going, okay, like this is really good high-level basketball. But obviously there were some breakdowns, the turnovers that led to points off of turnovers. That to me is probably the one stat that concerns me most if I was a BYU fan, because you're going to have fouls and you're going to have weird things happen. But what you cannot do is turn the ball over and allow your opponent to get almost 30 points off those turnovers and expect to have success. You can do that at home maybe, and they did last night. But even Oklahoma State this weekend, if you turn the ball over and you give them 30 points off of turnovers this weekend, you're probably not going to win that game. And that would be a concern for me for BYU, and something that obviously probably will be discussed today at practice and moving forward to Oklahoma State.
Sean Farnham of ESPN is on BYU Sports Nation. Speaking of concerns and BYU fans, there is a growing concern that, man, BYU is building big leads consistently and often in the second half, and then these leads are slipping away. But, Sean, they've won the majority of their Big 12 games. So even though they build the big leads, hey, most of the time they're winning those games. Are you concerned about BYU perceivably letting leads slip away consistently in Big 12 play?
What I would say to all of those fans is, have you watched any other games in the Big 12 this year?
Exactly.
Because if you have, you would notice that a lot of teams do that. Even Iowa State multiple times this year. Even go back to the Iowa State game at home against Kansas. They had a sizable lead. It looked like they were going to be landing the plane softly. And then the next thing you know, boom, it's a tight game and it's, 1 or 2 possessions. It just kind of is the way that college basketball has gone this year because of the fact that we don't have any really great teams. We don't. And, that when you don't have great teams, you will find in pressure moments that there will be times that teams will slip up or that another team all of a sudden gets hot. And we've seen that. And it's worked in BYU's favor sometimes, and it's worked in their detriment at some point in time. And last night it was not in their favor. But what it did do was they still won the game. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Like, that is all that matters right now. I know, like, we look at efficiencies and margins of victory, and we want everything to look pretty. Not everything's going to look pretty, in particular in a conference like the Big 12. So you've got to figure out a simple math equation. At the end of the game, is it +1 or is it -1? That's the only thing that matters right now for BYU. It's the only thing that matters for any team. Winning is the most important factor. Looking pretty while doing it doesn't matter. So if you're concerned about blowing leads, yes, I would be concerned about that, in particular when you go on the road, because that's where that will most likely be worked to your detriment and give you a loss. But I think it comes down to just being mentally and physically not worn down. And that's the challenge of being in the Big 12. You get physically exhausted, but even more so, you're mentally taxed because every single game you go into, you're like, oh man, like we just got this dub. We should feel good about it. And you're like, but wait, hold on. This weekend, we got like a top 25 opponent. Now, obviously, Oklahoma State is not a top 25 opponent this weekend, but look at the remaining schedule for BYU coming up after that. I mean, it is a gauntlet of difficult matchup after difficult matchup that they're going to have to find a way to win 1 or 2 of those games if they want to be above 500 at the end of the year. And that's the challenge of being here. I mean, you look, get past Oklahoma State. Now it's you got Baylor at home. You got to win that game at home against Baylor. Baylor's a really good team. At Kansas State, like, yeah, it's Kansas State, but at home in the Octagon, they're really tough in Manhattan. And then you got Kansas at Kansas. Okay, how's their record at home? Pretty good, huh? TCU, one of the oldest teams in college basketball. Iowa State, I think, is playing the best basketball of everybody in the conference right now. And then you get Oklahoma State again at home. So that is a very difficult 5-game stretch. And in that 5-game stretch, you got to find a way to win 2 of those games, maybe 3, to put yourself in the best position possible to get to Kansas City.
TCU's old? That's basically the bad signal for BYU. Let's go. It's going to be a fun stretch here. But BYU having Oklahoma State, a team that they need to go and beat, probably twice, that makes it just a little easier. But it doesn't mean it's easy. Obviously, Bryce Thompson tearing his labrum is a big deal for them. So I think last night's game, if it had happened on Saturday, that Tuesday game is dangerous given the extreme nature of all the fouls and the length and whatnot. It's Tuesday, so BYU has a little extra rest, which I think is good. But I did want to ask you about sort of the separation at the top right now. How are you feeling about kind of the upper crust of the Big 12, and are we seeing a little bit of separation from kind of the 4 and 7s near the bottom now?
I think we are. I think I've got a ton of concern for Kansas right now without Kevin McCullough. And it's not that they lost to Texas Tech. It's the fact that they weren't competitive at Texas Tech. That, to me, was probably the most alarming and concerning viewpoint on the Kansas Jayhawks, who a couple of weeks ago you'd say, okay, it's between them and Houston at the top spot. As things kind of change a little bit for me right now, my top 5, I go Iowa State as number 1 because their defense is so disruptive. Houston is right there as well. I think Houston's a better team. I think Houston could go and win a Final Four. So it's kind of like 1A, 1B between those two. But TJ Altenberger's team and how disruptive they were last night, they turned Cincinnati over almost 39% of their possessions. And then I would have Baylor, who is outstanding at home, struggles to win a little bit on the road. I think that's going to be key. And then Texas Tech continues to impress. Like every time I want to doubt Texas Tech, they figure out a way to win a big game. And so I'm done doubting them. And then there's a new team that I put in at number 5 this week. And I put Baylor in there, not because I believe that Baylor is better than Kansas, by the way, at full strength. And not that I believe that BYU will be ahead of them at the end of the season, but I'm talking about how they're playing right now and what they're doing right now. I think BYU would be 5th in the Big 12. And I don't say that just because I'm coming on your show. I say that based on how they're playing. Like I was very critical, if you remember the first time I came on with you guys, talking about their reliance upon the 3-point shot and that they had to find other ways to score. They have done an outstanding job of that. Now, part of that is because teams are closing out so hard at the three-point line. What that's doing is a little turn down the three and let's drive and attack and get fouled and get to the line. And that's the way to manufacture points. It's all about manufacturing points and having points per possession. How many points can you manufacture during the course of the game that's going to allow you to withstand a run from your opponent? When you're in a conference like the Big 12 or any conference realistically, like, look, you guys were in the WCC for a long period of time, and it didn't matter where you were at. A team was going to make a run at you. At home and on the road, it's difficult. It's more difficult on the road than it is at home.
Sure.
Now, the quality of opponent certainly has changed, and that level has pushed up the level of achievement that we've seen from this team so far this year for BYU. And I think that's it's an old saying, but like, if you want to be excellent, surround yourself with excellence. And if you want to be elite, surround yourself with people who are striving to be elite. And the Big 12 takes a great deal of pride in their basketball. And it's not just a football conference. It's obviously the basketball had 9 out of the last 11 years now. It will be the #1 ranked conference, according to Ken Pom.
Wild.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So for BYU, yeah, you've had to step up your game this year. And guess what has happened by stepping up your game? You've put yourself in position to wear a home color uniform in the NCAA tournament. That's pretty awesome. And now it's just up for this stretch run. And the most difficult part of your schedule is the start of February until about February 22nd-ish. Because those are kind of the days, like, you get really excited in January. Like, you're like, yeah, conference is here. Let's go. And it's fun. And the environments are great. And everything's awesome. But then it kind of like, man, the season's kind of wearing down. Your legs are fatigued. Practices are drawing on you. If you take some losses, coach is getting a little edgy with you. And the mental and physical wear is there. And then all of a sudden after February, like 22nd, you're like, we're almost at March, baby. Conference championship tournaments coming along, the NCAAs, and you all of a sudden get that third wind of your season, right? The excitement of getting there. You have the excitement at the start of the year, you have the excitement of conference play, and then you have the excitement of that stretch run. The difference of being in a conference like the Big 12 is that stretch run has already begun for BYU and every other team in this conference. And so that excitement and that focus has to be there now in order to put them in the right position to be successful, not only in Kansas City, but also in the NCAA tournament, and give yourself a legitimate chance to potentially be a second weekend team.
ESPN Sean Farnham is on BYU Sports Nation. It is a Valentine's Day special. All right, Sean, let's go ahead and channel realistic best-case scenarios for BYU, because right now it's looking pretty good. Joe Lunardi has BYU as the projected 5 seed and playing in Salt Lake City. So not only wearing a home uniform, but playing a de facto home game just up the road in Salt Lake City. And the Cougars, of course, are in 6th place in the Big 12, and they're above 500. What is, in your mind, the realistic best-case scenario for BYU the rest of the way without putting on the full-on blue goggles?
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought at the start of the year, I thought there was a chance to maybe get to 11 conference wins. I don't think that's out of the equation. I think the stretch run is obviously more difficult and might make it that way. But a 500 season in the Big 12 or one game above 500, I think is very realistic for this team right now. And I think that puts you in a really good position because the winner of this conference is going to have 6 losses probably. And so it's not like you're going to be that far off pace. And then, again, these wins become quad 1 wins. Like, more often than not, you're playing quad 1 and, worst case, quad 2 games. So you're strengthening your resume every single game. And that is the separator for the Big 12 when it comes time and they have the discussion points in that selection committee room. You get the benefit of that. You win in favor of that because of the sheer number of opportunities that are had. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to really benefit BYU. And you look at how jumbled up everything is right now. Look, things could obviously improve, and they could move up even more. Or they could drop. But I think we are starting to see some separation when you look at Oklahoma State, West Virginia, UCF now, Cincinnati taking that loss last night at home. Very difficult for them. And Kansas State, I think, are all starting to kind of drop down a little bit and trend in the wrong direction, which I think is actually good for the conference. But, you know, they've got themselves in a great situation. And one game above 500 or 500, I think BYU fans should look at that and say, man, what a huge success for us and this roster this year, and what a job Mark Pope has done. And I've tried to tell people this for years. When Mark Pope used to be an assistant, and I would watch him work with the bigs under Coach Rose, Dave Fleming and I said that guy's going to one day be an outstanding head coach. And he's ready to do that right now. And he stayed for a couple more seasons before he ventured off to become a head coach. And I think he's the right leader without question for this program. And as you've seen them make this transition, just how competitive they all are, how hard they play every single game. That's the mark of a team that not only achieves to form, but usually overachieves a little bit. And I think BYU has done that for a majority of the season.
Sean, it's great to talk to you. We appreciate you spending some of your Valentine's Day with us. We're all feeling the love. Hey, and frankly, to rewind to that lighthearted interaction you had with Jarom last week, and again, it was all in good fun. He was right. You got to win games to get above 500, right?
There is no doubt about it. You have to win games to get above 500.
In the standings, you're either going to go up or down.
Yep. And by the way, Oklahoma State this weekend, it is a must-win game if you want to be above 500 at the end of the year.
Let's go.
Maybe I was wrong last week on Oklahoma, but the Oklahoma State game,
it's a must-win. Yeah, it's a must-win, man.
This one.
Yeah, we agree with that for sure. Thanks, Sean. Great to talk to you.
See you, bro.
No worries, guys. Happy Valentine's Day. And by the way, wait, hold on. Before you let me go, and I know I'm blowing through whatever break you guys have right now.
All good.
How have we not talked about the 12-year-old boy and his devouring of the cougar tail? I mean,
twice. He's done it twice now.
Yes.
Champion. He's the champion.
Beckham Bramwell is his name.
I love the cougar tail, but I don't think I could devour it. Like, what's his name? Brian or something like that?
Beckham Bramwell. Very, very formal English name.
Yeah, Beckham, congratulations to you.
There he is.
You are a legend. As I've been listed on my credential at games, and you guys have seen this, it says official cougar tail ambassador.
Oh, that's
as
funny.
an official cougar tail ambassador, according to my credential for games that I do at BYU, I therefore crown Beckham king of the eating of the cougar tail. He is him. That's what the kids would say. He is him when it comes to eating cougar tail.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes, that is the appropriate way to end this interview.
That's content for the C block. We were going to get to that.
Let's go. Good stuff, Sean. Your cougar tail is waiting in Provo whenever you come back, man.
All right, I might have to have you guys steal one for me and bring it to Kansas City, all right?
We might be able to work that out, too. Thanks, brother.
Let's see.
All right, talk to you guys.
Sean